Do you have any advice for like people who are aspiring comic book writers or want to start their own comic?
I think just get out there and put it on the web. It's a great place to start. You can have your own work self-published very easily these days. I say the biggest step is just go ahead and do it.
And like, what sites do you post your comics on that you think most people would find it
I
at?
have my own website. I just had a custom script made for it, but Tumblr is a great place to do a comic these days.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
accept the fact that that deadline is not malleable. That deadline is solid. It can't shift. It's difficult to do that when you're an independent creator because you have the flexibility to say, well, I can just push that back to Friday. But if you tell yourself that that deadline is solid, it will help you get the work done a little bit faster. But more importantly, the biggest piece you can do is, again, do the work. The only way that you can make comics is by making comics. It sounds simple, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. And there are so many people that come up to me at these conventions and say, I've got this great idea for a story, and so few of them actually execute their story idea. So do the work, make comics. Come find me and tell me about your project once it's created, because I am not only a comic creator, I am also a fan of comics, and I want to read your completed story.
Right, every day.
Have a thick skin.
Read a lot. You gotta take in other stuff. I mean, if your craft is writing, you gotta be able to see and know what other people are doing too.
And a really good technique would be to find something you really like, but break it down to its base parts, its actual outline, and see how they've structured things, and use that as a template to build your own stories. That gives you a little crutch to lean on in terms of structure. It allows you to really play with like style and characterization.
Flush out motivations. I mean, everyone, even villains, have what they want, and more importantly, what they will and won't do in order to achieve what they want.
Okay, so what advice would you have for amateur comic book writers?
The best advice I have for aspiring comic book writers and artists is to do the work. Learn how to write scripts, learn how to do art, take life drawing classes. There's a lot of great example scripts on the web, but the best way to learn is by doing. Work really hard and talk to professionals that are in the business and find out how they do it. A lot of real pros are really good about talking to newcomers about getting into the business. I'm doing a panel later today on writing comics, and then one right after that on breaking into comics, where I'm going to talk all about that. I started out just a few years ago, so I definitely think if I could get in, then anyone can.
Continue doing the work. You can't give up. You're going to get a lot of rejection, and you just have to learn to deal with it, and you have to learn to edit yourself, because you're going to have a lot of great stuff that you write, and you're like, I love all of this, but I can only fit it into 16 or 22 pages, and you're just going to have to delete. You're going to have to kill your darlings, is the quote that I like to use, because if you don't edit yourself, if you don't work from that place, then your stuff will sprawl, and it will be unreadable. Even though there are little bits that you love, the mass will be unreadable. So that's really the best advice you can get.
But only for a few minutes. And okay, just a quick summary. The most important tip that seemed to be constant throughout the entire video was do the work. There's no other way around that. And that's a really important thing. So that's it for this week's vlog. And tune in next week when we do God knows what. Okay, you want to sign us off? Bye. Bye. And we are out of here.